grade. The Silent Night. I sang Silent Night for the Christmas pageant, or for my classroom. And apparently I could hold a tune. That was a very big surprise. And I was afraid to tell my mother that I had sung Silent Night because we're Jewish, and I was afraid it was going to be, a scandal. But I got a hand for that, and I was like, ooh, I got a hand. And the second time I got a hand was when I was in the 5th grade, and Barbara Nagy and I did a sketch for the 5th grade class, and that got us a hand. And that was a very big deal for Barbara Nagy and me.
Bette's first thrill from an audience filled her up in a way she had never known before. Soon she was singing for the entire neighborhood from her outdoor Hawaiian shower. Then it really happened. In the 6th grade, she entered a talent competition that changed her life with the song she sings to this day, Lullaby of Broadway.
I beat Diane Lucas, who sang Don't Be Cruel or Heartbreak Hotel. Elvis was just out. That shows how old I am. Anyway, that was a very big deal. And that stayed with me. I mean, I remember everything about that. I remember the clothes I was wearing. I remember the way it felt. I remember the prize. I remember the people. I remember the man that handed me the prize. I mean, it was so strong.
From that day on, Bette was determined to perform and to entertain.
I knew being a performer was a way out. I came to the realization that being a performer was the way out. I was a very good student as a child. And I knew I could have a life as some kind of a teacher or a nurse or a librarian, but there was that thing in the back of my mind that told me that that I would have more fun doing something else. And I think I was very enamored of having fun. I do. I didn't have a lot of fun as a kid, but I wanted to have fun.
The older Bette got, the more she grew into herself. She enjoyed being outrageous, provocative, even sexy. She was especially stimulated by Honolulu's red light district and the cheap thrills happening on its streets. To divert her daughter's attention from that unsavory attraction, Ruth Midler encouraged Bette to idle away her time at the movies.
She used to give us a dime. No, it's 20 cents in those days. She used to give us 20 cents to get us out of her hair for a couple of hours. That was the only thing we were allowed to go to, was musicals. We never went to a horror show. Never. Only musicals, because they were sunny. And the attitude, she knew there was not going to be any harm.
Bette was spellbound with the likes of Ethel Merman and Esther Williams. Her exposure to their acting, singing, dancing, and dialogue shaped Bette's future.
Glamour is a really peculiar thing. If it gets you when you're very young, I mean, you're smitten for most of your life. Most of your life. I am going to be 51, and I can say I am just getting over that aspect of my life now. So you can tell it had a big effect on my life.
With a vision of what she wanted, Bette set out to make her dreams come true. In high school, she starred in plays and started an all-girl trio that sang at military bases around the island. After high school, Bette studied acting at the University of Hawaii in the relentless pursuit of the life she wanted. Then, like a gift from a total stranger, Bette got the break of her life when Hollywood came to her own backyard to film the movie Hawaii. Bette landed a part as an extra. It may have been a small part, but it paid for a major move, a one-way ticket to the bright lights of Broadway. With the blessings of her mother and warnings from her dad, a 19-year-old Bette Midler left home in 1965 to stake her claim to fame and fortune in showbiz.
That was definitely the turn, where I took the turn. And after that, there really was no looking back.
For Hershey, we now return to Bette Midler, an intimate portrait. Bette Midler came to New York in 1965. She was a daring 19-year-old, bold enough to pursue her dreams and leave the comfort and safety of friends and family behind. Home was a tiny room in a trashy hotel right in the middle of the theater district. If she couldn't be working on Broadway, at least she'd live there. But it didn't take long for that to change. Some people wait a lifetime to see a dream come true. But for Bette Midler, it only took a year. After a few odd jobs in a part off Broadway, she sang her way into the chorus of 1966's hottest musical, Fiddler on the Roof. But Bette was destined for more. Within months, she moved out of the chorus and into the featured role of the eldest daughter, Zeidel. Bette found more than success. She found a family of actors and friends that provided her with a deep sense of belonging. Bette had truly found a home.
And I had a very dear friend, Ben Gillespie was his name, and he was a ballet dancer. He would ask me, have you ever seen so-and-so? And I would say no, and he would roll his eyes, and then he would make sure that I would see so-and-so. And this was an education that really went on for years.
Bette didn't just work in show business, she studied it. She taught herself as much as she could and devoured information on entertainers and show business. When Fiddler was over for the night, she wouldn't go home. She'd go out to see every act in town. Then one evening on a dare, she sang in an open mic night. The audience went wild. With that kind of reaction, Bette knew she had to sing to people in a way that would touch them deeply and personally. Even while in Fiddler, Bette sang and told jokes in nightclubs. She began to develop a unique act. It was daring and innovative and borrowed from the styles of the performers she studied, like Bessie Smith and Billie Holiday. She told jokes like Mae West and Sophie Tucker and danced like Carmen Miranda. Her performances were electrifying. Bette was on her way to becoming the hottest ticket in New York.
There were some things that I did in my life that were so free of stress. And that was one of them, where there's just joy, just joyousness, excitement, creativity, you know, pure creativity. And that was one of the times.
Bette's life was rich in experiences and friends. She had dared to make a dream come true, and she had succeeded. But just at the peak of her fledgling career, life dealt her a disastrous blow. Her oldest sister, Judy, was killed one night on the way to meet Bette after a performance of Fiddler. Judy had come to New York to see Bette and was struck on a sidewalk by a car that careened out of control. As friend Charlot Crossley Fortier recalls, that night would haunt Bette for years.
Every show, every night before we went on, there was a certain fear that she felt. And I think it was the fear that something would happen. You know, that fear of that something's, you know, something could happen before the show to affect the rest of her life.
Bette lapsed into a depression that lasted for months. When it finally ended, Bette decided on a new career direction. She'd leave Broadway and devote herself to what she loved most in life, singing in nightclubs.
So what more can you say? Here she is, Bette Midler!
Bette found a most unusual place to perfect her act, in a club called the Continental Baths, a combination singles bar, steam bath, and nightclub exclusively for gay men. It was here Bette created the persona that became her immortal trademark.
The first night I was there, the owner asked me, how do you want to be introduced? And I said, just tell them I'm divine. My hairdresser always called me Miss M. And he was Mr. G. And I was Miss M, and he was Mr. G, and we were a team. And so the owner heard him calling me Miss M, and he heard that was kind of my nickname, and he said, and now the divine Miss M, and then there she was.
Stephen, you know, the owner of this dump, is making a concerted effort to find people who can fill my shoes or my blouses.
And when I first saw her was at the Continental Bath. And it was pretty amazing because it was real, you know, verboten for women to be there, but there was maybe 7 or 8 women in the audience and men in towels. It was a very interesting it was so weird. I mean, and there'll never be anything like that ever again.
Circulating, your mother is up here working!
Her act was the rage of New York. Soon Manhattan's high and mighty clubgoers were lining up outside a gay bathhouse to see the much talked about Bette Midler.
The thing that was so great about it was that it was this amalgam of everything that I had observed and read and been enchanted by on the silver screen. There was an Andy Warhol superstar element in there. There was a Lower East Side element. There was a bit of Broadway, but it was just a vehicle to channel all this information